for trading all.
So welcome back, everyone. My next guest is Ben Harrison, and he's the owner of Ben Harrison Associates, LLC. Welcome to the show. Tell everybody a little bit about what you do and what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, first, thank you for having me on. Ben Harrison Associates is a management, organizational development, behavioral science consulting firm. That sounds like a lot.
A lot.
What it means in plain English is that we work with people. So our clients would come to us for making data analysis and designing workshops and facilitating those workshops, ultimately to bring about transitional change. So the bottom line is we come in to make change occur. Whether that happens or not in the first day or two, we can't guarantee. What we are sure of, however, is that we do plant the necessary seeding so that people can begin the process of behavioral change.
Okay, let me talk a little bit. I got to ask you questions that are not even on here because it'll help you too. Okay?
Sure. Okay.
So you help people valley-wide?
Yes.
Okay. And you go into their businesses?
Yes.
And you help them with their, when you say change and their environment, what do you mean by that?
For instance, there could be a group of employees not cooperating and get along. The owners
Happens all the time.
All the time, and the management may think that we need a team building session. Once we go in and gather data and make an analysis of that, we discover that it's a matter of simple interpersonal communications, not necessarily team building. So sometimes they think they know, but we always come up with the right answers to bring about change, no matter what that change is. But it's usually around behavior that's not impacting the bottom line in an effective manner.
Well, obviously, when you hire someone like that's going to come into their company and tell them what to do, they want to know a little bit about your background.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
Background comes from the early days of elementary and secondary education, community college, adjunct professor, and then on to the university level, San Francisco State Holy Names College, and my alma mater, the University of San Francisco, as a behavioral science instructor. Also spent 13 years at Kaiser Permanente headquarters in Oakland, California, as the director of supervisory training. And that's where I began to develop an interest in organizational development. Thus, now Ben Harrison Associates.
Wow. And I mean, but a lot of companies, now, again, I would ask you too, what kind of companies would you work for? Does it matter the size and all of that?
We work for the kinds of companies that employ people. It's just
So
as
it doesn't
simple as
matter.
that. We've done public sector, private sector. It really does not matter. I've had clients ask before, well, have you ever worked in this industry before? And I said, well, you know, when you go to your doctor, does he ask you, have you ever had a doctor from this industry before? It really does not matter. We're about people, behavioral change, and transitional change.
So who's your largest client at the moment?
Right now, we have been for the last year focused with work in the Arizona Police Association.
You see, they fight too. Okay.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
they fight amongst each other.
Well, sometimes, you know, people are people.
They're people, exactly.
Are people. The executive director there, Dr. Levi Bolton, asked Ben Harrison Associates, my firm, to develop a catalog of courses, which are really about 4 courses that the association will offer. And then that's available to the 18,000 members throughout the state of Arizona. That is the work that we have been doing quite constantly for the last year.
Well, you could check him out on his website. It's benharrisonassociates.com.
Yes.
And the phone number to call them direct, it's 480-988-0932. Okay, so what is the driving force or the focus of your relationship with the Arizona Police Association? I mean, exactly. I mean, how do you do that? What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, I guess they have the same, it's a business, right?
Well, Moses came down from the mountain, so to speak. In 2015, the President's Task Force on Community Policing was released. In that report, it had 6 primary objectives or recommendations for every police agency throughout the United States. What we have done with that in Arizona is I looked at the report, read it, and then designed the workshops based on what the report is recommending, because it did not come with workshops. It only came with recommendations. And therefore, we did that, and now we are offering that to the Arizona Police Association.
So if a company out there that is having their people
Yes.
not cooperating in one way or another, it sounds like you do a personal. It's designed, in fact, just for that company.
Precisely. Being a native New Orleanian, I love to cook from scratch, and that's the way I provide my
You're
services.
coming over to cook in my house.
That's the way I provide my services. We'll go in and do interviews, data analysis. We'll have focus groups. We'll do whatever we need to do to gather data. Once we have all of that, it's sort of like the physician saying, does it hurt here, does it hurt there, and how long have you had it? That's the work that we do, and then we come up with a prescription. That prescription could be in the form of a one-on-one executive coaching. It could be team building. It could be conflict resolution. For a long time, it's been issues around race and differences, and that's always difficult to address, but we do that.
Well, when somebody calls you, you obviously have to start at a starting point.
Yes.
Which is what's going on,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And is that like a free consultation that you do, or how does that work?
Yeah, oftentimes I will meet with a prospective client with a 1 hour free consultation just to make sure that they have identified the problem and that I'm the person they need. They may need someone else. There are some things that we don't do, and we only do what we do well.
Now, again, you can check him out on his website. It's benharrisonassociates.com.
Yes.
And that phone number to call him, it's 480-988-0932. And he does work with people valley-wide. And really, it's all about people.
Actually, it's nationwide.
It's nationwide. He's
Yes.
not valley-wide. He's
Yeah.
nationwide. But it is all about people.
Yes.
And obviously, we know that a lot of people out there, they everybody in a company has issues.
Absolutely.
Now, what we're going to do too is I wanted to ask you too about the how you train a lot of people. You say 18,000 members of the Arizona Police Association.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Absolutely. So what we do is we make the programs that we develop available and accessible to those 18,000 people. So, for instance, let's say Gila County Sheriff's Department may want the program. They can either come to us and we'll deliver it here in Phoenix, or we'll go there and do it for them. But it's not all 18,000 people, obviously, at the same time.
No.
It's just available to everybody.
Right. And again, if the company's listening and saying, I would like you to come in and help my people,
Yes.
it doesn't. It really doesn't matter the size.
No, not at all.
Not really.
No, we have done work for boards of directors for churches.
So the smallest.
yes.
That's, you said it's the largest. So the smallest would be
Yeah.
what type of a company?
Yeah, the reality is that we do work across the board, public, private, and even the ecclesia, for ministries and churches and organizations like that.
Okay. So who then are some of the participating law enforcement agencies across Arizona?
Well, in the first quarter of last year, we had participants from the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Gila County, I just mentioned. We've had officers come up from Tucson, assistant chiefs from the Tucson Police Department, the Globe Police Department. You name it, pretty much, we have had them across the board.
Well, you got
all the way from Flagstaff to Tucson.
You got to check him out. It's benharrisonassociates.com, and that number to call, it's 480-988-0932. So you're working with the law enforcement and not being a member of the law enforcement community sounds like a rather challenging work, right?
Yes.
Looking back over the years, was there ever a day or time when you felt most challenged to meet the client's objectives?
I should say that every time we walk into a room to facilitate a session, that's a challenge.
Because they're people.
Because they're people, and we never, ever take anyone for granted. If you wanted a specific date, October 3rd, 1995, the day that the O.J. Simpson verdict was read, not guilty, I happened to be training command officers in the police department at that time. Needless to say, once the verdict was read, the lesson plan, went out the window, and we facilitated a venting session for the rest of the day because that is what was needed at the time. I believe in football they call that an audible, but that's exactly what we do. We do what needs to be done at the time it needs to be done.
Well, that's being on your feet,
Yes.
because I think you knew that the possibility might be there, obviously.
Absolutely, we did.
Yeah, because you knew that verdict could
Yeah.
go either way.
Yeah.
Even though we all thought for sure one way, when it didn't, it must have been it could have been pretty horrific. I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. And we didn't want to be the only 26 people not to hear it, so we heard it too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so aside from law enforcement, who could be or have been some of your other clients, and what types of services are available to them?
Again, services such as conflict resolution, team building, interpersonal communications, strategic planning. It could be in a company like Intel. It could be Phoenix Children's Hospital, Macy's. I mean, it could be anybody.
People are people, and he can help.
Absolutely.
Again, he's nationwide. It's BenHarrisonAssociates.com. You can call him at 480-988-0932.